I remember it like it was yesterday, another Monday, another alarm screaming in the dark, 6:00 a.m., cold, robotic, and merciless. I dragged myself out of bed like a zombie, eyes half shut, mind completely numb. I wasn't tired because I needed more sleep. I was tired because my soul was exhausted. I was living a life that didn't belong to me, a schedule that wasn't mine. I was programmed like every other office drone I saw every day. And deep down, I knew it. You know what's worse than being broke? Being spiritually bankrupt, waking up with zero passion, living for 2 days out of 7, smiling on Friday just because you made it through 5 days of slow death. That's not living, that's existing, barely, and yet most people consider that normal. They call it being responsible. They call it security. I call it a prison sentence you walk into willingly. I looked around the office that day and it hit me like a punch to the chest. Every single person in that building was dead inside. Some of them were 25, some were 60, but they all had that same vacant, glassy-eyed look. Like their dreams had died a long time ago, and they just hadn't bothered to bury the corpse. The fluorescent lights, the gray walls, the fake small talk around the coffee machine. It all felt like a funeral for ambition. That's when I realized something terrifying. This place didn't kill people. It just slowly erased them, one day at a time. It made them tame, comfortable, obedient. They didn't scream or rebel. They didn't hate their lives enough to change, and they didn't love their lives enough to live. They just existed. That's what the 9-5 mindset does to you. It clips your wings and convinces you that flying was never real anyway. And here's the worst part, it starts early. From the moment you're a child, they start laying the foundation. Sit still, follow the rules, raise your hand, memorize, regurgitate, don't question, don't challenge, do what you're told, pass the tests, go to college, get in debt, get a job, pay bills, work hard. Retire when you're too old to enjoy it. That's the blueprint. And if you follow it perfectly, you get a pat on the back and a plastic trophy called success. But it's a scam. They don't teach you how to think. They teach you how to comply, and the scariest part, you end up defending the very system that enslaves you. You mock people who break free. You call them reckless. You call them unrealistic. Why? Because their courage exposes your cowardice. Because deep down you know they're right. But admitting that would shatter your illusion of safety. I remember going home from work and sitting in traffic, wasting another hour of my life staring at red brake lights. And I thought, how many hours do I give away for a paycheck that's barely enough to survive? How many dreams have I shelved just to pay rent? How many ideas have I buried because now's not the right time? It made me sick. That night, I looked in the mirror and asked myself the most important question of my life. Is this it? Is this what life is supposed to be? Wake up, go to work, go home, repeat. Am I just here to be another cog in someone else's machine? Am I really going to spend the next 40 years of my life waiting for a weekend, living for 2 weeks of vacation, praying for a raise and fearing layoffs? I knew the answer before I even asked the question. No, hell no. I wasn't put on this planet to beg for scraps. I wasn't born to ask permission to live my own life. I wasn't made to be average. I was made to dominate. I was made to build. I was made to be free. But I couldn't do that while shackled to a desk, pretending to care about spreadsheets and KPI. So I made a decision that night, a real decision, not a wish, not a hope. A decision backed by action, by fire, by war. I declared war on the 9-5 mindset, on the lies, on the excuses, on the comfort. I didn't know all the steps, but I knew the first one. I had to kill the old version of myself, the one that tolerated mediocrity, the one that played it safe, the one that thought a paycheck was worth his time. I started consuming everything I could about money, freedom, and performance, not from college professors or broke experts, but from killers. People who had escaped the matrix, people who didn't need to ask for time off, people who could make money while they slept. That became my obsession. While my co-workers were going to happy hour, I was grinding. While they watched Netflix, I was learning how to build a digital income. While they were scrolling aimlessly, I was programming my mind for war. I changed everything, my habits, my schedule, my environment. I stopped wasting time. I cut out the friends who wanted to chill and kept trying to pull me back into the pit. Misery loves company, and lazy people hate progress. They see your grind as a threat to their comfort. So I cut them off. I chose solitude over stagnation, discipline over dopamine, hunger over happiness. I knew no one was coming to save me, not the government, not the boss, not the economy, nothing. It was me versus me. And once you embrace that truth, you become dangerous. Because the moment you stop outsourcing responsibility is the moment you start reclaiming your power. And don't get it twisted. I wasn't rich overnight. I made mistakes, I tried things that failed, I lost time, money, and sleep, but every L was a lesson, every failure was a step forward, and that's the thing most people don't get. Freedom isn't comfortable. It's brutal, it demands blood, it demands discipline, it demands relentless focus, but that's why it's so powerful, because most people will never pay the price, and that's exactly why they stay broke. I started waking up early not because some guru told me to, but because I needed more time, more hours to build, more time to learn, more time to execute. I turned my body into a weapon with training. I turned my mind into a fortress with reading. I turned my days into battlegrounds. While others hit snooze, I hit the gas. I remember the first time I made money online. It wasn't a lot, just a few bucks. But it changed everything, because that money didn't come from a boss. It didn't come with strings attached. It came from me, my skills, my effort, my mind, that feeling, addictive. That's when the fire exploded inside me. I realized I didn't need permission. I didn't need credentials. I just needed to be relentless. And here's the part nobody tells you. When you start thinking like this, when you start acting like this, people will hate you. They'll call you arrogant. They'll say you changed. Of course I changed. I wasn't going to rot in that cubicle with the rest of them. They want you to stay weak so they don't feel bad about quitting on themselves. They want you to slow down so they don't have to speed up. But I didn't care. I was done living for other people's approval. I wasn't in this to be liked. I was in this to win. I remember walking past the office one day after I had finally left for good. Same building, same parking lot, same people, but I was different. I had escaped. I had broken the chains, and you know what I realized? The door was never locked. I just had to be brave enough to walk through it. Most people never do. They choose safety over freedom. They choose routine over risk, and then they wonder why they're miserable. Escaping the 9-5 mindset wasn't about quitting my job. It was about rejecting the whole mentality. The belief that life is about security instead of sovereignty. The belief that comfort is the goal. The belief that someone else should tell me what I'm worth. That mindset had to die, and I had to kill it every single day with every decision, every action, every sacrifice. I didn't just escape the 9-5. I escaped the cage in my mind, and that's where every battle is won or lost, not in the bank account, not in the office, in your mind. If you think like a slave, you'll always find a master. But if you start thinking like a king, if you start acting like one, no one can put you back in chains. Once I made the decision to escape the 9-5 mindset, there was no turning back. The bridge was burned. The comfort of a paycheck gone, the illusion of job security shattered. I was out in the wild now. No one telling me what to do, where to be, or when I could go home. No more orders. No more clocking in. And while most people fear that freedom, I craved it. I needed it. I didn't want security. I wanted sovereignty. But let me be brutally honest with you. Once you're free, you realize something powerful and dangerous. Now everything is your fault. There's no boss to blame, no coworkers to point fingers at. No HR department to run to. If you succeed, it's on you. If you fail, it's on you. That kind of responsibility would crush the average man. But if you're built for war, if you're built for greatness, it lights a fire so hot it makes everything else look cold. The biggest lie they sell you is that freedom is easy. It's not. It's violent, not physically, but mentally. It forces you to face your weaknesses, your laziness, your excuses. It exposes the parts of you that have been allowed to sleep for years under the blanket of predictability. It demands a version of you that most people never meet because they're too busy hiding behind routine. I didn't escape to take naps and drink cocktails on a beach. I escaped to build a legacy, to take full ownership of every second, every thought, every move. When I stepped out of the 9-5 world, I had to unlearn years of mental programming. That system teaches you to wait for permission, wait for the weekend, wait for retirement. So when I got out, I had to retrain my brain to do the opposite. Act now, move fast, create today. There's no time for someday when you're building your own empire. Every delay is a dagger in your ambition. Every excuse is a slow suicide. I became obsessed with performance, obsessed with output. Because when you own your time, every hour is either a weapon or a waste. There's no neutral. You're either building or you're decaying. You're either getting sharper or you're getting soft. Most people get out of the 9-5 and get lazy. They trade one cage for another, this time built from procrastination and fake productivity. Not me. I turned my freedom into fire. I structured my day like a military operation. Wake up early, not because of some influencer trend, but because I knew the world moves early. I trained my body because I understood one truth. A weak body houses a weak mind. I set brutal schedules for my projects because no one was going to hold me accountable but me. I didn't need a boss. I became my own executioner. If a task didn't move the mission forward, I cut it out. Ruthlessly, I didn't have time to be entertained. I didn't have time to argue. I was too busy building an empire from the ground up. Most people don't get that. They think once you're out of the job world, you're just chilling. They don't see the grind behind the scenes. They don't see the late nights when you're learning a new skill instead of watching Netflix. They don't see the mornings when you're working while the world sleeps. They see the results and think it's luck. It's not luck. It's war, and I fight every day. I had to find ways to make money that didn't rely on a time. For money exchange, I studied digital leverage. I looked for systems, for tools, for platforms where I could scale without burning every hour of my day. E-commerce, digital products, consulting, investing. I tested it all. Not every path worked. Some flopped hard, but every failure was a training session. Every dollar lost was tuition. I didn't panic. I recalibrated, I evolved. That's another thing people don't understand. When you're building your own path, speed matters more than perfection. Perfection is a trap. It's fear in disguise. People wait for the perfect time, the perfect strategy, the perfect launch. And while they wait, I move, I launch, I adapt. You'll never escape the system if you're too scared to break something. I was willing to fail publicly, to look stupid, to lose money, because I knew those were just stepping stones to power. Let's talk about money for a second. Real money, the kind that frees your time and multiplies while you sleep. Most people are terrified of it. They say money doesn't buy happiness, but you know what doesn't buy happiness either. Being broke, having your dreams on hold because you can't pay rent, watching your parents age without being able to help. You think money is evil. Try poverty. I didn't chase money because I wanted nice things. I chased money because I wanted options, the option to walk away from any deal, the option to disappear when I wanted to, the option to help my people, the option to say no. That's what real wealth gives you, freedom of choice. And if you don't have it, you're not free, you're still a slave, a well-paid slave maybe, but a slave nonetheless, so I went after skills, high income, high impact, high leverage skills, not the kind you learn in college, those are outdated. I'm talking about skills that produce cash flow in the real world. Copywriting, sales, digital marketing, business strategy, psychology, influence. I mastered them like my life depended on it, because it did. And once I had those skills, I could print money from thin air, not because of magic, but because I knew how to solve problems and communicate value. As I grew, I built systems, automated funnels, scalable offers. Remote teams. I wasn't trading time for money anymore. I was trading ideas for income. I was using leverage, people, code, content to multiply my impact. While most people work for money, I had money working for me. That's the level you reach when you refuse to settle for the 9-5 life. When you refuse to live on your knees, and you know what happens when you start winning. People come out of the woodwork. Suddenly they remember you. Suddenly, they want to grab coffee, pick your brain, or collaborate. Where were they when I was bleeding? Where were they when I was grinding in silence? I don't forget that. I don't hold grudges, but I don't entertain leeches either. If you weren't in the war with me, don't act like you helped build the castle. And here's the wild part. Once you escape the 9-5 mindset, you see how deep the programming really is. You see how scared people are to think for themselves. They've been trained to follow, to obey, to settle. They mock freedom because it terrifies them. They say things like, well, not everyone can do that. That's code for, I'm too scared to try. That's not truth, it's cowardice dressed as realism. You want to know the real reason most people never escape? Because they're addicted to comfort. They'd rather be miserable in a familiar routine than uncomfortable chasing something great. They think struggle is failure. I think struggle is tuition. They think risk is dangerous. I think stagnation is lethal. They think building is hard. I think being average is harder. I don't say this to flex. I say it because I lived it. I walked through hell to escape the cage, and I'm still walking, still fighting, still evolving, because there's always another level, always a higher standard, and once you taste that freedom, real freedom, you'll never go back. You'll never punch a clock again, you'll never trade your time for crumbs again, you'll never lower your standards to fit into someone else's box again. Escaping the 9-5 mindset isn't about quitting a job. It's about becoming a different kind of animal, one who doesn't wait to be told what to do, one who doesn't beg for permission, one who wakes up every day with a clear mission and the fire to execute it. You don't need a plan, you need hunger, you don't need a degree, you need discipline, you don't need permission, you need purpose, and here's what they won't tell you. No one is going to give you this life. No one is going to hand you freedom. You have to steal it. You have to break the rules. You have to defy the odds. You have to offend people. You have to walk alone. You have to be willing to look insane for a few years, so you can look legendary for the rest of your life. That's the truth, that's the price, and most will never pay it. But if you do, if you rise, if you refuse to submit, if you build instead of beg, you'll wake up one day and realize something that very few people on this planet will ever understand. You are completely, dangerously, powerfully free. When you finally start seeing the results of walking away from the 9-5 mindset, something strange happens. The chains fall off, but the scars remain. You're free, yes, but now you carry the weight of the life you're building. No one's feeding you anymore. No one's babysitting you. You're not just responsible for making money. You're responsible for becoming someone who can handle power, success, and influence without folding like a house of cards. You see, the real battle doesn't end when you escape the system. That's just the beginning. The real battle is staying out, staying sharp, staying dangerous. Most people who try to escape end up running right back, because they never developed the internal structure to replace the external one they left behind. They threw away the alarm clock, but never built discipline. They quit the job but kept the employee mindset. That's why most people who scream about being entrepreneurs are just unemployed and undisciplined. After I left the 9-5 world, I had to become the architect of my own mind. I had to break every soft habit I had learned over the years. I had to delete mediocrity from my system like a virus. That meant cutting out anything that didn't serve my mission, distractions, weak conversations. Useless entertainment. I wasn't trying to enjoy life. I was trying to dominate it. You don't conquer your goals with comfort. You conquer them with obsession. The truth is, you've been taught to numb yourself. They gave you sports to watch, junk food to eat, apps to scroll, and gossip to fill your brain. You think you're living, but you're sedated. You're tranquilized by your routines. You don't even feel the cage anymore because they padded the bars. They fed you just enough dopamine to keep you docile. That's why breaking out feels violent, because freedom rips that comfort away. The average man will do anything to avoid pain. Me, I trained myself to hunt it. Because every time I found pain, I found a weakness I could kill. Pain became my signal. If it hurt, I leaned in. That's how you grow. That's how you evolve. I didn't want an easy life. I wanted a meaningful one. And meaning doesn't come from watching others win. It comes from bleeding for your own victory. So I started operating on a level most people would call insane. Not because I'm trying to impress anyone, but because I realized the old limits were fake. They were installed by a system designed to keep you average. They tell you to rest, balance, slow down. But the truth is, most people haven't earned rest. They haven't gone hard enough to even deserve a break. They confuse being tired with being overworked. No, you're just mentally soft. You haven't pushed. You haven't risked. You haven't lived on the edge where transformation happens. I went all in. No backup plan. No safety net, because when you remove the option to quit, you start playing differently. You don't dabble anymore. You don't waste hours. You don't entertain failure. You move with urgency because failure now has teeth. It bites, and that's exactly what you need. You need the pressure. You need the discomfort. You need the fire at your heels. That's what builds kings, not comfort. And let's get this clear. Not everyone around you will clap. The minute you step out of line, you expose their fear. Your ambition is a mirror they don't want to look into. That's why they'll mock you, laugh at you, call you arrogant, tell you to be realistic. It's not you they hate, it's what you represent. You're proof that their excuses are lies. You're proof that freedom is possible, and nothing threatens a slave more than a free man. I lost friends. I lost connections. I lost people who said I changed. Of course I changed. That was the whole point. I wasn't trying to stay the same. I was trying to become unrecognizable to the man I used to be. If you can look at your life year after year and see no evolution, no power increase, no internal shift, you've been sleeping. And life doesn't reward sleepers, it devours them. As my results increased, I understood something that most people never grasp. Freedom without discipline is a prison in disguise. You think you're free because no one tells you what to do. But if you don't command yourself, you're just drifting. Drifting from one dopamine hit to another, from one empty goal to another, that's not freedom, that's enslavement to your impulses. So I became my own general. I crafted my environment. I engineered my routines. I scheduled my day like a sniper plans a shot, not just work, but learning, health, planning, reflection, strategy. I didn't leave my results to luck. I stacked every hour with purpose. That's how you create momentum. Not once in a while, every single day, momentum became my obsession. Because once you taste what it feels like to control your day, your income, your future, you never want to slow down, and I didn't wait for motivation. I killed the need for it. I replaced it with clarity. You don't need motivation when you know exactly what you want, why you want it, and how you're going to get it. I didn't wait to feel good. I trained myself to move regardless. And the crazy thing, the more I leaned into this lifestyle, the more time I had, not less, more, because I wasn't wasting it. I wasn't leaking hours to meaningless crap. I wasn't stuck in traffic or trapped in meetings. I wasn't being drained by pointless social obligations. Every minute had weight. Every decision had ROI, and because of that, I moved further in 1 year than most people do in 5. That's another truth they don't want to hear. That speed matters. Everyone preaches patience like it's a virtue, but patience is only a virtue when paired with massive, aggressive action. Waiting without action is laziness with a halo on it. I didn't wait for opportunities. I manufactured them. I didn't hope someone would notice me. I made noise. I didn't seek comfort. I declared war on every excuse I ever had. I took the money I earned and reinvested it into power, into learning, into systems, into assets. I didn't buy liabilities to flex. I bought tools that made more tools. I used leverage, digital leverage, social leverage, skill leverage. I turned every move into a multiplier. Because you don't become rich by working harder. You become rich by thinking bigger, by leveraging smarter. But here's the final kicker most people never realize: escaping the 9-5 mind. It isn't just about money or freedom or time. It's about identity. Who are you when no one's watching? Who are you when you don't have to answer to a boss, a company, a system? Who are you when no one is telling you what to do? That's when you meet your real self. And most people run from that man because he's hungry, he's angry, he's dangerous, and they've been trained to be tame, not me. I embraced that version. I fed him. I listened to him. I let him take over. Because that man doesn't settle. He doesn't apologize for being great. He doesn't shrink himself to make others feel comfortable. That man builds legacies. That man makes history. That man doesn't fit in. He builds his own lane and dares the world to catch up. I don't have a resume. I have results. I don't have job security. I have income security. I don't have bosses. I have partnerships. I don't have time to kill. I have time to invest. That's what happens when you kill the 9-5 virus in your mind. You stop waiting for someone to give you a life and you go out and take it. You won't get a map. You won't get applause. You won't get guarantees. You'll get punched in the mouth. You'll lose. You'll doubt yourself. You'll be alone, but if you don't quit, if you rise, if you adapt, if you stay ruthless, everything they told you was impossible becomes your everyday reality. Because escaping the 9-5 isn't just about walking away from a job. It's about walking into war, a war to become the version of you the world told you to suppress, the focused version, the relentless version, the undeniable version, and once you meet that man, you'll never let him go. You'll never go back to the soft, quiet, obedient shell they tried to make you. You'll wake up every day with clarity, with aggression, with purpose, not because life got easier, but because you got sharper. Stronger, smarter. You'll look back at your old life and wonder how you ever tolerated it, how you ever let someone else tell you what you were worth, and you'll promise yourself one thing: never again. Now that you're out, now that you're walking a path few will ever understand, there's one truth you must burn into your mind: this journey is forever. Escaping the 9-5 mindset wasn't a phase. It wasn't some temporary act of rebellion. It was a permanent execution of the old version of me, and once you kill that man, there is no resurrection. You never go back, you never beg again, you never sit in traffic, mentally dead, spiritually numb, waiting for a lunch break. That world is dead to you, and when it's dead, you realize something terrifying and beautiful: you are the system now. You are the economy. You are the source. You're not depending on someone else's clock. You're not surviving on someone else's structure. You are building it all yourself from the ground up. Your thoughts become currency. Your focus becomes leverage. Your discipline becomes wealth. But with that power comes a level of pressure most men can't handle. Because now, if you fail, it's all on you. There's no manager to blame, no HR to cry to, no safety net. That's what freedom really is. It's not floating. It's flying with no wings, no parachute, and no second chances. You either evolve or you die, and I chose to evolve. See, most people think they want freedom, but when you give them total control, they panic. They start craving rules again, craving someone to tell them what to do. They can't handle the silence, the responsibility, the solitude. Freedom exposes you. It shows you whether you're a creator or a complainer, a hunter or a sheep, a builder or a talker. When I stepped into this new life, I saw how lazy most people are. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, strategically. They think hard work is enough. It's not. You can work hard and still stay broke. You can grind and still be blind. Hard work means nothing if it's not guided by ruthless precision. I didn't just hustle, I hunted, I studied, I adapted. I executed with a level of focus that scared people, and what did it take? Everything. It took my time, my energy, my comfort, my peace. It took nights alone. It took turning down parties, distractions, vacations. It took missing out on the things average people live for because I was chasing something far greater. I wasn't looking for approval. I wasn't seeking validation. I was building a legacy so powerful it would make noise long after I'm gone. People don't understand sacrifice anymore. They want success without cost, fame without risk, money without change. It doesn't work like that. You want to escape the 9-5 mindset, then you better be ready to pay the full price, and the currency is your old life, every bit of it. You trade your comfort, your excuses, your distractions, and in return, you get power. You get control, you get clarity. I became addicted to progress, not because I was insecure, not because I wanted to prove anyone wrong, but because I realized how much potential I had wasted by playing small. I looked at the years I gave to other people's dreams and I got angry, righteously angry, not depressed, not regretful, angry enough to use that fire to build something unshakable. Every day became a mission. Every hour a weapon. I wasn't reacting to life anymore. I was dictating it, designing it, creating systems that print freedom, automate wealth, and multiply opportunities. I wasn't gambling with my future, I was engineering it. And the more I did it, the clearer the gap became between me and the world I left behind. It's lonely at first. Let's not sugarcoat it. Most people won't get it. Your family won't get it. Your old friends definitely won't. They'll call you obsessed. They'll say you've changed. Of course you've changed. You were designed to. You're not supposed to stay the same man forever. Evolution is the point. Growth is the obligation. If you're not growing, you're rotting. You'll lose people, but you'll gain something far more valuable, yourself, your true self. The version of you that was buried under expectations, buried under fear, buried under years of settling. When you escape the 9-5 mindset, you don't just become financially free, you become spiritually dangerous. You stop being manageable, controllable, predictable, and that scares people. Good, let it. Let them fear your discipline. Let them fear your focus. Let them choke on your results, because while they were talking, you were building. While they were partying, you were planning. While they were relaxing, you were rising. And now you move different. Now you speak different. Now you command the room, not because you're pretending, but because you earned it. You earned every inch of this life. There's no off switch. Once you become this version of yourself, you don't want to go back. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't pretend the cage was ever comfortable, and you sure as hell can't respect people who still worship it. Your new life requires new rules, new standards, new allies. You don't tolerate softness anymore, not in your habits, not in your team, not in your thinking. You don't need to be around 100 people anymore. You need a circle of assassins, disciplined, sharp, brutal about growth. People who don't cry when it gets hard. People who don't need babysitting. People who don't need to be convinced to be great. That's the new tribe. That's the new standard. And if they don't meet it, they're cut off. Your standards rise because you rise. And when your standards rise, everything else follows. Your income, your health. Your confidence, your control. You don't beg life to be better. You bend it. You don't hope for better outcomes. You force them because you've stopped playing the game. You've started writing the rules. People will ask you what changed. They'll ask how you did it. They won't understand that it wasn't some secret or hack or lucky break. It was war. A daily war against weakness, distraction, doubt, comfort. It was a war against yourself, and the reason you won is because you stopped negotiating, you stopped compromising, you stopped acting like success was optional. This mindset, this lifestyle, it doesn't have an end point. You don't arrive. There's always another level, always a new enemy, always a new mountain, and that's the beauty of it. You never get soft again. You never get comfortable again. You keep building. You keep evolving, you keep rising, because now you've seen what you're capable of, and anything less is betrayal. And here's the final truth most won't tell you: the world doesn't care. It doesn't care that you're tired, that it's hard, that you tried. The world responds to results, to dominance, to excellence, and now that's all you produce, not because it's easy, but because it's who you've become. You are the man who escaped. You are the man who broke the mold. You are the man who refused to die average. You don't wait anymore. You don't wish. You move, you act, you conquer. Because you didn't just escape a job, you escaped a mindset that was killing you. You buried the 9-to-5 slave. You buried the weak version of yourself. And what rose from the grave is someone the old you wouldn't even recognize. So keep going. Keep pressing. Keep breaking everything that no longer fits the man you're becoming. Because the 9-5 mindset wasn't just a job, it was a coffin, and now you've kicked it open, torched it, and left the ashes behind. There's no turning back. You were never born to be a cog in someone else's machine. You were never built to punch in, clock out, and wait to die. That wasn't your destiny. That was your distraction, but now you know. Now you've seen what's possible, and once you've seen it, once you've tasted what real freedom feels like, there's no going back. You either rise and rule, or you rot in routine. The 9-5 mind. It didn't just rob your time, it robbed your fire, your drive, your manhood. But that ends here. You've escaped the cage, and the man who escapes becomes the lion, savage, focused, unstoppable. This world bows to those who refuse to kneel. So don't just escape the system. Obliterate it. Burn the old version of yourself to the ground and never look back. You're not meant to fit in. You're meant to take over. Now, go do it.